Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Please forgive my being late, goofing around with this crazy StreamYard. And I was like, oh my God, it's 7 o'clock. So, how's everybody? What is going on? Um, let's see. Let's check, make sure we've got everybody squared away. Okay, so we're good on Facebook, good on LinkedIn. Hey everybody. Everybody. Good to see you guys. I'm excited for tonight's topic. I'm excited for every night's topic because tonight we're talking about money. And I know money is something that people really struggle to discuss. They struggle to sometimes ask. And so tonight I just want to get into it and for us to have just a really open discussion about pricing, because sometimes I feel like pricing is the thing that really holds a lot of business owners back as it relates to just really being able to move forward and make the money and grow the wealth and the things they want to be successful in their business, because money is an issue, but money is really not an issue. And so tonight I just want us to talk about that. It can be. And so that said, I want to share my testimony with you guys after we just have a quick word of prayer. So the prayer is for me because if we have not met before, I will introduce myself shortly. But prayer sets the standard, the tone for me, so that I feel safe, that I feel great about my environment. And so it just makes me feel that I have settled and grounded into this conversation. So let's pray. So Father God, right now in Jesus' name, we come before you to say thank you. We come to bless you and to praise your most holy name. Father, I decree and declare right now that you are sovereign and that you are merciful, you are mighty, you are kind, you are amazing, and you are Alpha and Omega. You are the beginning and the end. You are the bright and morning sun. You are the Lord of Lords and the King of Kings. Jesus, we thank you for your blood. We thank you for your sacrifice. And Holy Spirit, I thank you for your intercession, for your presence, which I invite you here with me and with all those who will join me or watch on the replay. And I just thank you for your comfort, your strategy, your leadership, your guidance, your healing, and just your help. It means so much. And so, Father, right now, I just ask that you would bless our conversation tonight to be full of grace and seasoned with salt. We cast down every thought of mammon, which is a demon god of money that makes us feel intimidated or afraid. And we prophesy right now, God, I cast the vision over us and I lift that veil of lack from off of us. And I prophesy over us that we are divinely wealthy according to the Abrahamic covenant, which you made with Abraham, our patriarch in the Lord in the Bible. And so, God, that same covenant of wealth applies to us. And so, Father, we receive your wealth right now. We receive the download of wealth. We receive strategy that will lead to wealth. We receive success, because the Bible says if we make our way known to you, that you will make our way to prosper. So, God, would you just bless our way tonight? We thank you for it. We give you praise, honor, and glory in Jesus' name. Amen. So, if we have not met before, my name is Dr. Patrice Carter, and I'm the president and CEO of Breakpoint Coaching Collective, LLC, in partnership with the love of my life, Dalton Carter. So, shout outs to him. And here at Breakpoint Coaching Collective, I am a digital course creation mentor for women-owned coaching companies, C-suite, women-owned executives, and service-based entrepreneurs. And so I want tonight to talk about or talk to you if you are one of those individuals or you fall within that category, just being a female entrepreneur, and you have been thinking about developing an online course or school using and packaging your specific expertise. So through my company, we have a done with you service and we have a done for you service. But I wanted to come tonight again just to talk about pricing, because I think that sometimes pricing can be just I won't say a hindrance, but it can be stressful to think about, what do I charge? Where do I even start with pricing my services, especially as a coach? So you can find out all about me on my website, which is www.drpatricecarter.com. but I will share with you that I have 14 years as a professional life coach, a motivational speaker, and I'm a published author and minister. And so I share that because I understand what it feels like to be a coach, going into a coaching practice, establishing a business from scratch, growing it, scaling it to 5 figures, and then pivoting. And now going into course creation and sharing courses. So I've been doing that for 4 or 5 years now. And so me mentoring is new, but me being in this environment and this industry is not new. But I share that to say that from the very beginning, one of the very things that horrified me was talking about money and pricing, knowing what to charge, knowing how to ask, being able to state the rate out loud, and that type of thing. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it. And so I just want to share with you what I posted today when I was talking about going live and how I felt. So this is my story. So I used to be terrified to ask for money. I was afraid to talk about money. I was afraid to charge real money for my services. And I was overwhelmed at the thought of rejection, getting no's, offending people with my prices, low key fearing that I was overvaluing my services and that they would see straight through it, i.e., imposter syndrome, and or that I was afraid that they would pay the money, but then they would feel that they didn't receive what they paid for, which was a lie from the pit of hell. And the list goes on and on. And I say that because I'm a person of excellence. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I keep my word and I provide the value that I promise. And I'm always checking in with my clients to see how are you feeling about our process and where we are. So fast forward, here's my story today. I have found the exact opposite to be true. I now ask for premium investment rates for my services, which start at $2,750 and go all the way to $10,000. And I get butterflies each time, but I don't turn back and I don't back down. What and who and when and where God has for us is for us. And the outcome of each sales conversation belongs to Him. And I really want to call it a service conversation because we're not selling to people. We're really serving people by as a byproduct of what we have, the gift that God has given us, the purpose for which we have been placed here on the earth, which changes over time as we progress. And while I still get no's, I still get ghosted by people that I know. Yes, I'm talking to you if this applies to you. I have ghosted people. I get ghosted by people who I know that have reached out to me first. Like they reached out to me, I respond, and then they ghost me. But I still keep going. I state my rate and I stand by it, and I provide high quality value and service, and so can you. So that said, tonight, what I want us to talk about is one, are you struggling to know how to price your course or your services? So that's one question. So let's get to the comments. Hey, Nicole. Nicole, when you said me too, what part is me too? So tell me so that I'll know how to speak to that. And thank you so much for being here. That means so much to me. Okay, so the first question tonight that I listed was, are you struggling with struggling to know how to price your course or services? Yes or no? And then the other question I want us to address tonight is, are you struggling to state your rate, state your prices out loud? Or do you back up when the client has an issue with the price? Because people will give you pushback. But it's funny to me because I'm not going to turn petty. We're not going to turn this into a petticoat junction. But they don't do that at the mall. You know, they don't do that at the Gucci store. They don't do that at the Beyonce concert. You know, whatever the price is price, and they're going to figure out how they're going to pay it. But the minute that you come to a service-based provider or professional, now it's an issue. So Nicole said, afraid to ask for money. Yes, it was terrible. And I don't know about you guys, but just also just a little bit about my story. So I am a twin. I have a twin sister. Shout out to my sister, Pastor Garlinda Price, and my mom and dad, Pat and Guy Stewart, who told me that they actually watched my live last week, which brings tears to my eyes. That's so precious. But Mama used to take us shopping every school year. We would go to this place in North Carolina called Burlington, North Carolina. Sharon, God bless you. I saw when you said you were coming, I was like, oh my God, is she really going to be here? So good to see you. God bless you. So, Sharon, you need to know Nicole. Nicole, you need to know Sharon. You guys are in the Virginia, Maryland, DC area. So, please look each other up online and connect on Facebook. You guys, I think, will be a phenomenal introduction. So, anyway, mommy would take us shopping and she would give us a certain amount of money. So, I always had like, what's the word they used to say? What's that show that used to come on? I had I want to say Gucci dreams with like a what's that one that cheap like a Nine West, budget. So I always spent so much money, right? So I would spend all my money in the first like less than hour and end up with like five things. Garlinda would take that same amount of money and multiply it because she shopped sales and she would come out with like goo gops of clothes. Okay. And so I remember mommy saying to me that somehow I don't know how she would say it, but it was something to the effect of um that's why you don't have two nickels to rub together. So she would always um say, things like that, like you are not good, but imply that I wasn't good with money or didn't shop well. And so that kind of hung over me, like that stuck with me for a long time. And so when I started thinking about today, this conversation around pricing, which I feel really comes back to our money mindset, I had to think back to, well, what was the issue? And then my brother would always talk about us having a Forney curse. Like my grandmother's name was Forney, and money was tight for them, but they weren't poor or destitute in that sense. But they didn't have a lot of money, but they had a lot of love. But he always felt like there was this curse. And my sister and I was like, we don't agree with that. So he had some money mindset. So I feel like those things that are kind of like become root systems and they follow us into entrepreneurship, and we're not really aware of them until it comes time to ask for money. And or the other things that used to come up is that spirit of rejection. So I felt like for years I struggled with the spirit of rejection. And I feel like that was a family generational thing, and abandonment. And so struggling with rejection and abandonment, okay, so now it's time to ask somebody for money and they say no. So it's like they're rejecting you. They don't want what they don't want what I have. And so entrepreneurship is very emotional, but it will show you and it will show you the areas that you need to shore up and get healed in. So I don't know, that's just me just sharing like kind of just the foundation for how I came into entrepreneurship and my thoughts around money. So what about you guys? Can you guys resonate with this or relate to this? Or maybe do you have your own experiences as it relates to money pre-entrepreneurship phase? Let me know. And so when I think about stating rates and all that and people giving pushback, I want to come to the pushback phase. So the pushback piece, when people are like, oh my God, that's so much money, or it's just too expensive, or I don't have it, that type of thing, that we can sometimes internalize that, but it really comes back to their money mindset. It goes back to their relationship with money and how they view investments, how they view investing in themselves. And so I should say, used to internalize that, but I had to realize it really wasn't about me, and that really it wasn't truly a no either. It was just that something was causing a reaction in them, and I needed to figure out what that was so that I could have a right and healthy sales conversation. And then the other piece of stating our price out loud, which we're going to get to some problem solutions. I'm going to share some things, but I just want to kind of set the standard or the tone for the conversation. And so when we're talking about stating our rates out loud, for me, what would come up is voice. Oh, you're so soft spoken. I used to hear all the time I was so soft spoken, or which I think I'm loud. If I'm comfortable, I'm the life of the party. Okay. So I'm turn up Charlie, just kidding. But I can be loud, but people say you're soft spoken. I don't see it, but okay. So having people talk about my voice, or feeling invisible, feeling diminished in circles where I would go and be in different circles. And so again, now it's time to speak up, being told to shut up. I'm a survivor of domestic violence, being threatened with my life. So learning to be quiet. So I just believe that all these things come with us. I know they do, as we're going into these relationships with clients and with money. So that's just my thoughts. So Sharon says, yes, I dislike asking for money, and having a nonprofit is one of the things you must do. Yeah, you got to get it done. But that's another reason I think that Nicole is an excellent connection for you, because she is the founder of Barter Black, which has everything to do with Black businesses bartering with each other to leverage our products and services and leverage ourselves within the community, within the Black community. And if you're part of her membership, Nicole, I need you to send me my affiliate link. If you're part of her membership, which is very affordable monthly, she sends out a monthly grant list every month, like clockwork, of grants that you can apply for your business. So I highly recommend that you guys again connect. So Nicole, if you're willing to put your information for Barter Black down in there and share and check it out. All right, guys. So let's keep going. So when I thought about tonight and how we should approach this conversation, I really wanted to just give you solutions that would help you when you get to this conversation with a potential client. And it's not in any particular order. So like I said last week, you want to get a piece of paper and a pen. This is recorded. So the recording will be out there or out here on the internet. It'll be on YouTube, it'll be on LinkedIn, it'll be on Facebook, and you'll be able to go back and watch it. But just in case you want to take some notes tonight, please ask me questions. Please comment. Don't let me just be out here, just a talking head. I don't like that. I love interactivity. All right. So tonight, let's talk about it. So the first thing I wanted to just share is that as we're going into conversations with clients, this is any business. It doesn't matter what the business is, whether you're a course creator, whether you are Barter Black, whether you're a nonprofit, we all have to have conversations about money. So one of the things I wanted to just say is, even from a mindset perspective, is begin to shift your thinking and shift your perspective about money, and about going into the conversation thinking about money. Go into the conversation thinking about service. How can I serve this person? What is what I possess? How does what I possess serve their need? What is it that they need from me? What is the question that I can solve, the answer for them, or the problem that they have that I can solve? So I try to approach every conversation from a solution standpoint as opposed to a sales standpoint. While ultimately, yes, there is going to be a transaction, there is going to be an investment, there's going to be a sale. There's going to be some exchange of dollars for services, of goods and services for money, but I'm not going in with that mindset. And so shifting my mindset to be one of service has made a huge difference in the fear factor around money, because I believe very strongly that I'm providing a quality service, that I'm helping someone to create an income stream and create wealth and leave a legacy in such a way that is going to solve problems for them now, and it's going to create wealth for generations to come, that they won't have to ever worry about this. It's going to help them not be stressed anymore. It's going to help them to be able to pivot and shift to a different place, like where they may now be experiencing burnout, they're going to actually be living and working and operating from a place of ease. So you want to think about how your business, your nonprofit, your agency is actually serving and solving a problem. So that's number one, service, be of service. And if you approach the conversation from a place of service, then again, it takes all the pressure off, because you already know that there's going to be a transaction. So I stopped seeing people and situations as transactions, and I started focusing on a relationship. That's probably not new to you all, but I think that it bears repeating. All right, the second thing is to solve problems excellently. So knowing what problem you actually solve. So Sharon, let's talk about your nonprofit. What problem does your nonprofit solve? I know it solves a lot because you work with young women. Nicole, oh my gosh, you're solving massive problems, massive issues with entrepreneurs who don't have capital, who don't have a lot of working capital to hire people to do services and bartering. So what problem do you think that you solve in the industry? You guys let me know. If anybody else is here too, I can't really see who's on here if you're not commenting. So if you could please comment below, let me know who you are, where you're calling in from, where you're joining from, and join the conversation. All right, so thinking about what problem you solve and then doing it with excellence. Because when you solve a problem with excellence, again, money's not going to be an issue because that person and that client is going to tell that client who's going to tell that client who's going to tell that client. And it's just going to grow from there. Yes, I believe in marketing. Yes, I believe in social media, email, newsletters, all that. But I don't believe that. I believe that word of mouth is king. That's just me, because if you hear that someone did a great job and it's someone that you like, know, love, and trust, then you're more likely to do business with that person. So think about what problem you solve it well, and go from there. Okay, so that's the next one. And then, so then that ties into providing excellent customer service. So there's that word service. We can't get away from it, right? So provide excellent customer service. So I was watching a video before the call, just kind of just going through the internet, just making sure YouTube was working and all that stuff. And Courtney Saunders, who's an amazing coach, 2 coaches, was sharing about the fact that she was reading that people, customers, consumers, clients are actually paying more and going into premium services right off the bat because they're tired of paying for services and not getting what they invested in. So they're tired of like people that charge premium, charge money, but then don't deliver. So she said that there was an article that she read that was talking about the airlines and how they noticed that people are buying premium seats as opposed to regular seats. I'm like, honey, I attest to that. My husband and I went to Puerto Rico about 4 weeks ago for his birthday. And when he was getting the tickets, I was like, please bump us up. Now, there was no first class because I don't think JetBlue has first class, but whatever the front seat is, I want to be in that front seat. I want to be on the first 3 seats because I'm over dragging in, being group E, going in, trying to find somewhere to put your suitcase, climbing over people, being smashed in the middle, no leg room. I'm over it. So what he said, well, it costs such and such. Well, sir, book it, Dano, because I'm not doing it. So I can attest to that. I believe that people are now in a mindset that they want to invest. They're willing to invest in a premium service with a business owner who's going to do excellent work and is going to have integrity and provide what they say they're going to provide and do what they say they're going to do. So you can beat out 1,000+ people just by being integrous, having integrity, and follow through and follow up. So then the next thing is that goes into provide what you promise. So 3, again, we're still talking about pricing because you can price premium and you can price higher if you know what you provide, you know what problem you're solving, you provide excellent customer service, and you provide and deliver what you promised. In fact, over delivering. All right. So provide what you promised when you said you were going to do it. I've just noticed a lot of people, not a lot of people, but oftentimes people just lack integrity. They just don't keep up or they won't own it. So if you do make a mistake, then own it, because I believe that people can respect that. All right. So then the next thing I want to say, and again, we're still talking about money, is be known in your network. So you want to be known in your network because if you're known in your network, then that's a byproduct. Money is a byproduct of being known because you're going to be known as the go-to person for Black entrepreneurs. You're going to be known as the premium nonprofit for young women and self-esteem and shifting their trajectory for at-risk youth. I'm going to be known in Jesus' name as the go-to digital course mentor for done with you and done for you services. So be known in your industry. So how do you get known? So one, you get known by showing up. So we talk about social media, being known on social media or email listings or networking. Networking within your warm market or your cold market, getting out in the community, being a thought leader. And so the way that you position yourself as a thought leader is you think about LinkedIn, places like that, where you can submit articles, you can write articles, you can put those things out. Podcasting, having a podcast if you are a published author. So Sharon, I don't know if you're doing this, if you're still here, if you'll watch this later, if you've left, but thinking about your newsletter, you can take your newsletters and take those and create them into a mini PDF ebook. May do some wordsmithing, but taking that information, Nicole, taking all those things that you send us when you send us monthly newsletters and tips and pulling out the pieces that are like critical and putting that to a small barter black ebook for whomever. It could be what do you call it, a freemium, a funnel piece. So setting yourself up as a thought leader and an expert is going to allow you to charge those rates that you want to charge and that you should be charging. So let's get to the nuts and bolts of like the solution around how do you charge if you are struggling to know how to price your course or services, or you're struggling to state your price out loud and people may balk at or be shocked, get sticker shock when they hear your rate, because it happens, right? So the first thing I think that you should do after this, and I'm going to say this is number one, these are solutions. Number one, I need to get a moderator. So I have to do all this typing. I need to get my husband, who would love to do this. So number one is you want to pre-qualify your client, your potential client. So pre-qualifications and polls. So what does that look like? So I have a scheduling link or a scheduling system. I use Acuity. So there's Acuity, there's Calendly, there's all these different scheduling systems that you can use. And on those schedulers, you can actually put a form that your client has to fill out before they can book you. And so it's just like when you join one of those Facebook groups and you have to answer like a number of questions to see if you actually qualify to be in the group. So you want to ask your clients, potential clients, some pre-qualifying questions. So that way they're not even getting on the call and not being able to pay for your product or service. So that has been game changing for me. I got the idea from Coach Jalen Jones. She didn't tell me to do it, but just when she and I had our first discovery session for me to work with her as a coach, I had to answer these questions. And I was like, that is genius. So I said, hey, I'm going to do that. So now I ask specific questions of potential clients to pre-qualify them. And one of the things I share is, are you prepared to invest X, Y, and Z if we move forward? And do you agree that this is a sales call? So that way they're coming, if they do come to the call, they're coming prepared to be pitched to and sold to at some point in the conversation. The other thing that she asked, which I think is excellent, Jalen asked, is who needs to help you make this decision? Because oftentimes people are like, well, I have to pray about it. I need to talk to my husband about it. So whomever needs to be helping you make that decision should be on the call. So I invite them to the call. She invites that person to the call. So when my husband and I, we went on the call with her together, we made the decision together. And I thought that was genius. Okay. So pre-qualifying and polling your client will help alleviate a lot of that. Because then also in that drop set on the questions, I have which program and which price point do you want? So they have to pick one. They can't skip. Like I require that they respond to that. And so again, that alleviates a lot of that price shock. So what do you guys think? Are you guys with me? Who's here with me? Do you guys use a scheduling system? Do you use any type of pre-qualifiers for your clients? And if so, how have you found that to be? Has that been helpful? Let me know. All right. So then the next thing is practice your pricing pitch. So again, these are not in any specific order, but I practice stating my rates all the time. So guys, I'm going to tell you how bad it was. So when I started out, practice your pitch. Okay. Practice your pitch and saying your rates out loud. So you can, what's what I'm looking for, role play and do this, or you can just do it in the mirror with yourself. It doesn't matter, but it worked for me. But I remember when I started out coaching 14 plus years ago, the Lord told me to charge $10 an hour for 8 weeks, and it was 8 people. That was $80 a person. Okay. So I wasn't afraid to ask. So who's afraid to ask for $10? That was fine. And I find that what happens is that people tend to ask, they're comfortable asking lower dollar amounts because they're trying to count the person's money for them. And we assume that because it might be a lot for us, that it's too much for them. And that's not true. So we shouldn't count each other's money, other people's money. And also, I shouldn't ask somebody to pay something I'm not willing to invest in myself. And so I really got checked by that when I invested in a coach. And I was like, oh my God, this is so much money. But I really felt what my clients felt when they've invested with me. Like, it's massive. Like, this is not a little bit of money. Like, this is an investment. So I believe that that's a bonus tip, is that you shouldn't ask somebody to pay you for a service that you're not willing to invest that amount of money yourself in someone else's service, because that's like you get to stay in the safe zone and everybody else has to kind of, be out here. So I think that there should be some reciprocity. But back to the practicing your pitch, practice your pitch and state your rates. So then what happened was the Lord began to give me higher amounts. He was like, okay, now I want you to charge $100. Then he was like, charge $320. And I was like, oh God, y'all, $320 a person. I was just, oh God, no. Okay. So I was like, oh my God, I can't. So then he took me from $320 to like $1,900. And I was like, my Lord, for coaching. And the person paid. They were happy to pay. Okay. And not payments. They were like, okay, cool, no problem. Like, it didn't shock them. And I'm like, man, I want to be not shocked by, price points. So I just continue to grow. So then he said, okay, take it to 3,500. That's mentorship. Then my course, I priced my course at $299 as an introductory rate. That was the number that he gave me and that me and my husband Dalton agreed on. And then it went to $599, and then it went to I think like $1,700, $1,800, and then now it's at $2,700. And people have paid it. People have paid it at every price point. So, but I state what it's for. Okay, so I'm clear about that. But anyway, practice, rehearse, and also anticipate specific objections. So when people object to our rates and they're like, oh my God, that's so expensive, it's too much, they're not saying they're not going to pay it. Think about it. They didn't say I'm not paying that. They're just saying, oh my God, it's expensive. It's so much. Because again, when we price accordingly and we price accurately, it's going to cause them to have to dig within themselves to deal with the fact that, okay, am I worth this? It dips into their worthiness. And then it's going to challenge them also, because they're going to have to come up higher in the sense of elevating their thinking around quality and around excellence and around investing in themselves and around gaining knowledge and around God just taking them to a different place. So it just challenges them. And so when they hear that rate and they're met with that challenge, it causes them to kind of back up. Like, that's how I feel. And so when they're giving you some type of pushback or what's the word I'm looking for, objection, then of course we immediately we back up. But you don't want to back up, because an objection is just an opportunity to have a conversation to find out, well, what is the root issue? What is it that they're really concerned about? Do they really not have the money? Are they just afraid? Is it that they've never invested that amount of money? Is it that they don't have enough information to be able to make the decision? So it sounds like a lot because maybe we haven't given them the right details to let them know that this is worth the investment. So you really need to uncover. So as opposed to when someone says, no, it's too much, or I'm not going to do it, then, really saying, okay, well, can I just ask you a few questions? Not because I'm not a hard sell. Like, I'm not pushy. That's what I mean when I say I'm not a hard sell. I'm not going to push somebody to do something that they don't want to do, because I hate that. Let's think about a used car salesman or car salespeople. No shade to anybody that sells cars. I hate hard sales, because I think if somebody wants something, they already want it. They just need the information, and then they need to figure out how they're going to pay for it. So this opportunity to uncover what is behind the objection. Okay. So I think about clients where they'll make a bunch of excuses, like they were all excited about it, and then when they heard the price and they backed up. But what it is like, when you start to invest a certain level, that means you're going to have to show up. And so now, and that again is calling us to come up higher, that client to come up higher. And it's like, well, am I really going to show up? Am I really this serious about it? And so begin to just anticipate what are some common objections that you've heard or might hear, and then think about your response to those and how you can uncover what's really going on, or what their true concern is, or their true fears. And sometimes they just really don't have the money, but they really want to do it. Okay, so then as you're stating your rates, again, still talking about solutions, you want to share or provide value justification. And so not that you have to justify your rates to anybody, but you kind of do. Justification. So values justification is just basically making sure that the client understands the specific problem that you solve and that you can fulfill that need. So again, if you guys see me looking down, I have my little notes that we wrote out that we're going to share. So making sure that you understand or are able to speak to their specific problem with a solution and the value that you bring to that. And then also when you start to share value justification, that's where you share what's what I'm looking for, client success stories, testimonials, case studies. You are actually able to provide social proof that you work with a client who paid this amount of money and this is the return on investment. This is what they were able to do, receive, accomplish, etc., as a result of having worked with you. So be able to state that. And maybe you may not know it initially if you're new. So they're taking a chance on you, you're taking a chance on them. And I believe in transparency. So when I first started doing the digital course mentoring, I've built numerous schools at this point with clients and for clients, with coaches and for other coaches. But I told the ones in the beginning, hey, you guys are betas for me. So I'm going to give you a beta rate, meaning beta testers. I haven't done this before. I'm just trying this out, but I'm passionate about it. I'm going to give you my best. They had already worked with me anyway as getting their coaching certification. So they already knew that I was going to come with the spirit of excellence. So I was like, hey, I'm going to give you a discount. Let me do it for you. Or let's do it together, because I wanted to show them how to do it so they could do it after they're not with me any longer, because I believe in building autonomy. All right. So that said, the next thing you want to do, again, talking about pricing issues and money, are you struggling to know how to price your course or your services? Or do you struggle to state your price out loud? Or do you back up when the client balks at the price? So we're still tracking. All right. So then the next thing is you want to potentially offer payment options. Potentially. All right. Or you want to have different options. All right. So I have a full price done with you service and done for you service. I have where they can make payments, so you can make payments. So I have payments plans set up, and I'm willing to work with clients in the sense of making it work. So I don't want to come down on my rate, but I'll make it work where you can make payments. Like maybe we'll make the payments out longer or what have you, but I'm all about a win-win situation. And so be able to have payment plans or paid in full discounts that you can offer your clients. I know with the Teachable platform, number of the platforms that I work with building courses for clients on, they have also affirm pay now, buy now, pay later options, which is a good thing if you want to, the client wants to go ahead and get it paid in full. Yes, it does create credit or creates a credit situation, but that's not a bad thing because that builds business credit. So that helps you to build your credit if you're paying it. But sometimes people are afraid to do that because they're like, in the back of their mind, low key in the back of their mind, they're like, well, what if this doesn't work and I don't make any money and I don't sell any products or services, any coaching classes or coaching services, and now spent all this money. So see, your mind ain't right already in the beginning. So, but that's how we think. So we have to deal with those money mindsets, and we have to deal with that fear of failure. And so I say that I pull over and give you a pro tip when you're working with a client. Again, you always want to be a potential client. You want to be championing them and cheerleading them and showing them what's possible. I can tell you that I exemplify what is possible. I came out of working in corporate America since I was in working period as an employee since I was, I believe, 16 years old. And for the last 14 years, I have been an entrepreneur. I've left my full-time job, making $80,000 a year, Europe every year, European trips. It was going to convert to a GS position. And I part-time worked as a university professor, assistant professor for years. And so finally walked away from all those things. And I have what's what I'm looking for? I have peace that I did the right thing, but I have nothing physical, tangible to prove that this thing is going to work at this point, in the sense of like, what's what I'm looking for. Like, there's just no guarantee when you're an entrepreneur. But what I do have a guarantee of is, one, God called me to it. So that's the guarantee. He is a guarantor. So he's backing me all the way. Two, I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up and I'm going to stay up. I'm not going to let up. I'm not going to give up. I'm not quitting. So because I'm consistent and have been consistent for 14 years, this business has been successful. So I have grown, certified and trained Christian life coaches, work with clients, grown the business on that side to 5 figures and up, and put it on autopilot. And now I have rebranded to be a digital course creation mentor to coaches, female coaches, and service-based business providers, so that I can help them do the same. So that said, I have to make sure that I'm being consistent. So you want to be consistent. And when you're consistent and you're diligent, the Bible says that the hand of the diligent shall bear rule, meaning that I'm going to rule. It's going to happen. It's going to work out, because it's already happened before with my coaching practice. So I have a history of success. God has a history of showing up for me, and I have support. So that said, when it's time to invest and it's time to come and talk to a client about making a payment plan or paying in full, I understand exactly what they may be feeling. Maybe not exactly, but I understand how they may be feeling. And so that said, again, making sure that I have payment options that help support them in that way, and helping them to get over that hump or fear of, what if I fail? Well, you're not going to fail if you really show up and you do the work, because we're going to be right here. I'm going to have you step by step, and I'm going to show you what to do. And as long as you work it, it'll work. All right. So then having a limited time bonus or incentive. So you can also always offer an introductory rate. That's a kind of a, I won't say cowardly, because we're not cowards, but that's a way to kind of ease your way into setting up your rates and stating your rates. So as I shared, when I started my Christian Life Coach Certification e-course, I priced it introductorily. So we had it as a live course, and that course was close to $3,000, and it was doing well. But then when I made it an e-course, I made it $299, and it just like every day there were like 4 and 5 people signing up. Then I moved it to $599, $699, same thing every day. There were 4 to 5 people signing up. So then I shifted it over time. So you can also do an A test and a B test. It's called an A/B test, where you test the market and you see what the market will do. That means how many people buy it when it's this price versus how many people buy it when it's this price. And that will let you know what your market is doing. And then you can go up from there, incrementally increase it from there. But just another caveat, if you price it too low, you price yourself so low that you then want to shift up to, like, let's say you start at $75, and then all of a sudden you want to charge $300, $500. That's going to be difficult, because how do you justify that level of increase? So that's why you need to price accordingly from the beginning, so that as you build on those prices, as you scale, it's not so ridiculous. It's not so what's wrong? Not ridiculous. It's not just so, I just want to say, I guess, just it's just not such an anomaly. So as I shared, I went from $10, $80 to 100 to 300 to 1,500 to 3,000 to 5, 7, 10. So it was incremental. I don't mean to say ridiculous, so forgive me, guys. All right. So again, offer payment options. That was what we just finished discussing. The next thing is creating a price script. So creating a price script is like when you go to, for instance, you think about websites where they have different membership options, like Teachable. So when you go on Teachable, which I love, then Teachable has a can you guys still see me? Because I see where my comment didn't go through. I'm not sure who's still here with me, but if you guys are here with me, can you just give me a thumbs up and let me know that you can hear or see me? Because my little comment just bounced back. Let me know if you guys can see me or hear me. Okay, so that said, what I was going to share was on the price script. So with the price script, thanks, Sharon. So with the price script on Teachable, for instance, thanks, Nicole. they have different membership options, right? So there's a free option, there's a $59 a month option, then there's $119, and then there's $199 and $399. And so when you go out there and you look, it looks like this. I need a little blank piece of paper. Let's do something blank. It's just basically a chart. And on that chart, it'll have, option A, option B. This is not looking good. Option A, option B, option C, and it'll have the cost, and then it'll have all the services. It'll list down the side, and then it'll say which one of these, what's included in those. And as the price goes up, you have more and more options that are included. So I think that's very helpful to think about creating something like that for your clients, depending on the type of industry or the type of clients that you have. So that way they're able to kind of get a visual of what's included, because sometimes, and thinking about that, that's another tip. When you think about money, think about pricing, you want to think about people's buying psychology, their buying style, their learning style. How do they learn? So when you pitch to them, how are you pitching? So are you pitching them by video? Are you pitching them with paper? Are you pitching them with experience? Because you want to be able to pitch or know their buying psychology and meet them in their learning style. Does that make sense? So if my learning style is I need to hold it in my hand, I'm tactile, or maybe I need to hear the presentation or I need to see it, then you want to think about, you want to come say, hey, nope. It's my husband, y'all. He never wants to be on camera, but he's always behind camera helping me. So love you so much. And so you want to think about meeting your clients, potential clients, where they are, and providing something that meets their ability to go through the information and make an informed decision. So that leads me to also not overwhelming them with details. So when you're giving the information about your products and services, it's really good to just kind of give them the highlights, and then they can ask questions later, or they can go to your website, or you can email them this type of sheet so they can look at more details. Don't be so quick to try to close them that day. Sometimes I think about Coach Jalen, how she always shares, the first conversation isn't necessarily a sales conversation, because how do we know we even like each other, that we even want to work together? So when you're thinking about mindsets and pricing and all that, you want to, again, approach any conversation that's an initial conversation with a client from the standpoint of we're just getting to know each other, and we're trying to see if we want to have a second date. Like, we might even get past the appetizers. Are we a good fit? And then if we are a good fit, let me hear from the client what they really need. What is it that they're concerned about? And can I even meet the need? Can I even serve them? Because that goes back to, again, wanting to be an ethical entrepreneur, meaning that I'm not going to sell you something I know I can't deliver, but people do it. All right. So this is another just bonus tip, which I love it. I don't have this person in house, but I'm looking for this person. Okay. So if you are just so terrified that you cannot state the race, you cannot get them out of your mouth yet, hire a VA, i.e. a spouse, a bossy friend, someone who's not afraid, or a teenager who is polished, and have them state your rates and do your closing for you, so they can actually handle the sales calls and they can close. So my husband calls me the closer, and I am a closer because I'm like, are we doing this or not doing this? Here's the rate. How do you want to pay that? Cash App, Zelle, PayPal. What are we doing? So I'm not afraid of money anymore. I have worked to overcome that. And how you overcome it, it's just like push-ups. It's like riding a bike. You just have to keep doing it. And the more you do it and the more success you get at it, when people say yes, and even when people say no, it's building your muscle, it's growing you. So hire someone to do it for you. And then that's one way that you can kind of get around it. Another way that you can get around it, if you don't want to state it, is say, hey, I'm going to send you a proposal and then I'm going to follow up. But then you want to make sure that you don't let that lead go cold. You want to follow up and find out what was their decision. What did they choose? Do they have questions? So either way, you're going to have to communicate with your potential client. All right. So this next section, I was going to say, let's do a deep dive, but I kind of started with the deep dive, and that was just our mindsets and our fears. Are there any fears that we still have to overcome now, Sharon? I know you mentioned you hate talking about money, but thinking about what is it that really, that you don't like about it? What is it that you dislike the most about asking for donations? If you don't mind sharing. And if not, if you don't want to share, just think about it. Nicole, are you over it? Are you all about the dollars? Are you all about asking for money now? Are you good? Like what's your confidence level as relates to asking for money? Let me know. And so we talked about the root causes early in the beginning. I was like, well, let's just kind of get this out of the way. And so that said, you want to do the same thing with your clients. I touched on that already. What is their root cause concern? What is the root of their concern? If they feel like it's too much, or they're not ready, or they seem like they're kind of backing up when they were before they were excited. I'm direct. I'm a coach though. I'll ask them, tell me, what are you thinking? What's coming up for you right now? How are you feeling? So Sharon said, probably, as you said, rejection. So that's something like, guys, I'm a faith-based entrepreneur. So, as I battled that spirit of rejection, and it still comes up, like, it's intimidating being in business. Like, it's intimidating. It's a spirit of intimidation constantly about something. It's learning curves. It's just so much. Nicole, my issue is being concerned that they get the value. Yeah. So then being concerned about them getting value can sometimes, I'm not saying this is you, but it can lead to overdoing, like overproducing, overgiving, giving too much when what you're already coming with is valuable. And I can say to you, Nicole, that what you are coming with is valuable. I can say to you with all surety, Sharon, what you guys are coming with is valuable. And you're coming with heart, you're coming with expertise, you're coming with, like, I'm telling you, excellence. So it's you're on it. And but I believe too that you're already a person of value in that you're concerned about that. You know what I mean? Because to me, the one who's not concerned about it, like they get what I give them, they're not concerned. If that person with that attitude is not concerned about value. So I get that. All right. So let's see. So on our deep dive, we talked about mindset, we talked about fears, we talked about addressing their root concern. What is the client's fear? So I'm going to put that. Let's see. I don't know if I know what number I'm on, but address the client's root concerns and fears. If they say it's a fear, so you want to use coaching in this regard. You want to always use the client's words. So whatever their words are, that's the words you want to use. So then moving on, Nicole, you sent a comment, but I think it came through as blank. So let me know what you were saying. So then also help them to build self-confidence and encourage self-talk and building their self-esteem, because oftentimes I can definitely say, as it relates to having certified and trained hundreds of Christian life coaches now in Canada and the US, I've met so many different personalities. And even building out courses in schools, I've met so many different personalities. And one thing is sure is that people know what they want, but then they're kind of just scared. It's like we don't always have someone to validate our idea or validate or champion what we're trying to do, especially if we're a pathfinder. So for my sister and I, and my brother, God rest his soul, we were pathfinders. We are pathfinders in our family. And that is that we didn't see any other entrepreneurs in the family. I know great grandma was a bootlegger, if mommy said that. So, which is entrepreneurial, but we didn't have any other examples in our family of entrepreneurs. My husband, same thing. And so when you're trying to champion a path and set a new course, it's very overwhelming. So one thing I always want to do is serve potential clients from that place of being a champion and cheerleading them on and giving them my best. And so because too, I'm a faith-based person, when I meet someone, if they're a person of faith and I'm just meeting them in the discovery session, I always offer prayer. I always speak a word over them because I want them to leave with, whether they work with me or not, I want them to leave with something, if that makes sense. I'm not prophesying, I'm just sharing the word of God or just speaking life over them because I want them to leave as well or better than when they first encountered me. All right, Nicole said it was the stats. Oh, okay. You're saying the stats I shared, or you're saying to be able to share stats? Let me know. Okay, so next, so I said build their confidence. champion your new and potential client. Because oh, stars, thank you so much. Okay, build their confidence. So when you build someone's confidence and you address them from a place of service, still talking about money, still talking about pricing, they're going to feel comfortable with you because they're going to be seen. They're going to feel that you see them and know that you see them at beyond a transaction. Because if it feels transactional, then it's a turnoff. Even though we all know it's a transaction, but I don't want to be treated like a transaction. Okay. So Sharon says, I struggle with what if people will see the value. What girls speak offers isn't what I consider tangible, meaning you receive an item. We work on building a young lady's mindset and their confidence. So I get that they don't receive a product or service, but what they're going to receive is a brand new daughter. What they're going to receive is breaking off a generational curse of teen pregnancy or poverty. They're going to receive a brand new young lady that they now don't have to struggle to parent. The community is going to receive an upstanding citizen and someone that is going to bring value. So I'm sure you've done this, but I would just encourage you or challenge you to go back and revisit your value statements around what they actually are getting as a result of you building a young lady's mindset and confidence, because that is massive. I feel like, I don't feel like, I believe I've read articles of like other countries where you guys have seen, I think like maybe you have or haven't, but like I used to buy products and services from this tribal women in Africa, like you can buy shea butter, bracelets, things of that nature. I think Whole Foods has it too. They have these baskets they sell. But when you buy from that one woman, you change the trajectory of that entire village. And so, Sharon, that's what I see when I think about Girls Speak, that you're changing the trajectory of an entire village, an entire family ecosystem. So think about that, and articulate that and stand on that, because that is what you're doing. And so I believe that if you are able to put that down on paper and see that and maybe put that up in the Girl Speak offices or just kind of cast that vision in your meetings, that's going to solidify for you. That is tangible. That is tangible. Attitude is tangible. When you see a young lady's attitude change, her confidence increase, that actually is tangible and that is invaluable. So that will lead to her being successful. It's like girls in sports and girls in STEM. So I hope that helps. Let me know what you got from that, if anything. No pressure. All right. The next thing is to ensure that you know your rates in your industry, that you know your competitors and what is the Lord saying. So that was a mouthful. So this is what you need to know when you're thinking about, you're welcome, when you're thinking about your pricing, when you're thinking about money, when you're thinking about charging, is you need to know your rates. All right. So the worst thing is when you get somebody on the phone and you start floundering, they're like, well, how much do you charge for X, Y, and Z? And then you're like, oh, I need to go look. You need to have your rates in here. They need to be right here. You need to know your rates. You need to internalize and own your rates. And that says to me that people are scared to state their rate. If they can't tell me right off the bat, or they haven't really put their business on, like they're not their business, but we are our business, if that makes sense. So you need to know your rates. So I'm not going to beat the horse on that. Know your rates. And so that's important. The next thing I said is that you need to know the industry. So what is being charged in the industry, in your industry? So I know that coaching rates, mentorship rates, they're all over the board, but I want to know what they are, because I want to know what are people charging and what are people paying and what are people willing to pay. Not so that I can necessarily adjust my rates to meet that or try to match that, but it just helps me. It's very helpful to know, to see, am I in the ballpark? Am I too far to the left? Am I too far to the right? Again, you need to know your industry. And knowing your industry gives you confidence to be able to price accordingly. So I had a client challenge me on my rate. She's like, well, why is it so much? Well, at the point that she had actually worked with me before, and then some years had passed, maybe like 3 years, and then she wanted to hire me again, and the rate had like tripled, maybe quadrupled. But when she encountered me the next time, I was a board certified coach. I owned a coaching school. I was certifying and training other Christian life coaches. I had gotten the certification and gone to boards. So at that point, I was on another level. And so my rates reflected that. And so your rates should reflect where you are. or where you're going. Does that make sense? So let your rates reflect where you are or where you want to go. But you need to price yourself again in alignment with what you know that you possess and are able to provide in terms of a service. So knowing your industry, and then looking at your competitors, knowing what your competitors are pricing so that you just have that knowledge and you can speak to that. I believe is very important, and knowing what they offer with that price so that you can speak to it. And then lastly, I said, what is the Lord saying? And I don't mean it to be the last question, and so it shouldn't be the first question, but I'm saying that to say if you are a person of faith, then I pray over my rates. I ask the Lord, what should I charge? What should I ask for? What is what? So then what I have peace with, I take that knowledge that I have in the earth realm, the industry rates, the competitors, the rates that I just thought out, and I would look at what he said in prayer and I adjust accordingly. And that's what I state. Now, he's always going to give you a rate that's going to challenge you. He's not going to give you something that you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like he's always going to like do the nth degree. And so it's going to challenge you to come up higher, but kingdom pricing answers kingdom problems. So again, you want to price in such a way that not only can you cover your bills, you have money left over for vacation, you have money to invest, you have money to do what you want to do for your children, you have money to help other people, you have money to tithe and so if that's something that you're into. So hey Phyllis, good to see you. Oh Phyllis, I didn't real Sine. So I wasn't used to your new married name. How are you? God bless you, friend. So love you. So that said, you want to be able to, you want to charge accordingly because it's bigger than just you paying your bills. You don't want to just break even. We're in business to make a profit. And that profit, we want to do something with it. And in addition to that, if you don't charge accordingly, you're not going to make your bills. So you have to really go into this pricing conversation knowing what your costs are. What are your monthly expenses as a business? What are your monthly expenses as a household? How much money do you want to take home? Like, yes, after I pay the bills, like what do I want in my bank account as the owner? And you got to pay taxes. So there are all these things that you need to be thinking about. And there's a video on my YouTube channel that talks about specifically how to calculate that. So go check out my YouTube channel. And if you do, cheap plug, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. All right. So then next, and we still have a few to go. So are you guys with me? Is this good? Do you have any questions? Am I going too fast? Give me some feedback. So I'll take a breath. I'll drink some water. How are you guys doing out there? And if you're watching this on the replay, then be sure to just ask any questions and I'll comment. Okay. No comments. Okay. So next, again, still talking about today. I'm Dr. Patrice Carter, if you guys have not met me before, digital course creation mentor at Breakpoint Coaching Collective, LLC. And today we're talking about if you are a coach, a service-based provider, entrepreneur, or a C-suite executive that's looking to pivot and package your expertise, but maybe you're someone who struggles to know how to price your course or your services, or maybe you struggle to state that rate out loud, or you waver when a potential client gives you pushback on your pricing. That's what we're talking about. So moving on. The next thing is to make sure, we touched on this already, that your client has enough information and that you have enough information. When I say they have enough information, we already talked about what you need to be providing them, but what is it that you need to know which product or which service or which price point to pitch them? Because if you're listening and you get enough information, then you may already know, okay, they would be a great fit for your premium service, or maybe they're not. Maybe you already can hear they need to be in the beginning service because whether they can afford it or not, they don't fit that program. They need to start here. So we want to always, again, be thinking about what is the best way that we can serve them with what we have to offer. And that means that we have to ask them enough questions that we are able to know what they need and guide them into that product or service with confidence. So that means that goes back to not being transactional, because of course we all want our highest offer. Like, who doesn't want to get a $10,000 cash paid? Like, hello. But not if it's not a good fit, because that is not going to be a good relationship for you and the client. They're going to talk junk. They're going to be a horrible client. You're going to be horrible too. It's just not going to work out. And then it's just, now it's a bad review, etc. So start off the way that we want to finish, by, again, getting the right amount of information to be able to guide them to the right product or service, even if it's not with you. So I have people approach me all the time for coaching. They want to do coaching, and I don't coach one-on-one anymore. But what I will do is I refer to the coaches that I've trained. And so I'm familiar with what each of them specializes in. And I listen to that person. I give them a discovery session. I listen to their heart. What is it they need? And I tell them, this is who I refer you to. This is who I highly recommend. Counseling, I have counseling connections, etc. So think about also how you can serve the other entrepreneurs that are in your circle if this person is not a good fit for you. Because what you sow, you reap. And I mean that in a good way. All right, so then the next thing, this is very important, and this goes back to that price sheet that I talked about, and that is to have a structured approach so that you can pitch confidently. So have 3 sets of, maybe have 3 services that you offer, or if you're listening, just know they just need this one service, and be able to state the price and maybe the top 3 benefits of how that's going to give them value and meet the solution to the problem that they presented with. So don't overwhelm them with too much information, etc. So be able to, again, give them a structured way to get the information they need to make a decision. And then these are just more personal things, these last few, and that is to gradually expose yourself in the way of having conversations that cause you, having pricing conversations. So what does that mean? So it doesn't matter what your business is. Phyllis, you have a business. Is it, it's not Scentsy. I feel like it's jewelry, but I see the $5, but I can't think of the name of the business. Tell me what your business is. So just so I know. But that said, you want to be having discovery sessions, discovery calls, or positioning yourself to talk with clients where you are required to state your rate and where you pitch. This is not something I've done, but I want to do a pitch competition. Like, I've been wanting to do pitch competitions for like the last 3 years, not host them, but go to them and just really grow in confidence to pitch at a higher level. So put yourself in positions where you're challenged to have these conversations. Can you guys commit to that? That's going to be my challenge this week. And we're going to have a challenge, and I'm going to post it after we get off our live tonight, is 3 opportunities this week to state your rate or to pitch. So put yourself in position. And I'm going to give you a biblical reference to this, is Ruth and Naomi. So Naomi was, if you go to the book of Ruth in the Bible, look it up. Ruth was the daughter-in-law of Naomi, and Naomi's son died. And so Naomi was going to go back home to wherever she was from, and Ruth was going to go back to her home. And Naomi was like, okay, she released her daughter-in-law. She was like, love you, see you later. And Ruth was like, no, where you go, I'll go. Your people will be my people, your God will be my God. So she goes with Naomi. They get to wherever they're going back to, Naomi's home country, and there's Boaz. Boaz is wealthy. Boaz is is an older gentleman, and he's a provider. And so Naomi gives Ruth instructions on where to position herself so that Boaz will see her, and tells her how to behave, what to do and what not to do, so that she will gain his favor and good graces. And he ends up noticing her, and he ends up falling in love with her and redeeming her and making her his wife. And they are in the lineage of Jesus. So that said, positioning yourself is very important. So you want to position yourself in such a way that, this was challenging for Ruth. Now, Ruth is a widow. She's a young widow. She also has to trust that Naomi's giving her the right instructions. She has to trust that Boaz is actually going to, see her, and that he's a good person. So there's all these just different, relational things. So positioning is key. All right, where you position yourself. So I want you to position yourself this week where you expose yourself to have pricing conversations. So Phyllis, I feel like you sell the jewelry. And so I say to you, which you may already be doing this, I know they have higher price point jewelries like the $20 sets and things like that. You might already be selling them, but if not, that'll be my thing for you, my challenge. All right. So then next is, have I been sharing these? Know your rates. I'm going to type these in after the call because I'm a few down behind of putting them into the notes, the comments. But the next thing is that this is a process, knowing that getting comfortable with your rates, even getting clear on your rates, is a process and it takes time. Confidently stating them, asking and getting paid, it's a process, but you will get paid. The more you do it, the more it's going to work. The more you ask, I mean, it's just the law of numbers, right? And so start where you are with the rates that you have, not too low and not too high. Okay. So figure out what that is. I gave you the tips on how to do that. And again, I have the YouTube video I'm going to share here and I'm going to put it in the comments once we hang up or before we hang up. And I want you to just know that you can do this. All right. So you want to take the process, recognize that it is just that, it's a process. Give yourself grace and just keep growing and keep going as it relates to your rates. And then continue to state your rates and have money discussions. I think we already touched on that. And then the next two things, last two things, is build community. So a lot of us are in communities together. And within those communities, we can be having these conversations about rates, about how are talking to each other about what are others doing. So asking other entrepreneurs, hey, what are you doing? How did you come up with your rates? How did you get confident asking for your rates? How did you get people to pay you this amount of money? Did you start there? And so really starting to just kind of get informed and asking other people, what their process was so that you can kind of gain insight and glean from them. And then also, how did they grow in that area? Like, did they take courses? Did they pray? Like, what did they do to actually grow in that area so that they became confident in putting the rates where they are and growing in that way? So when we operate from a space of community, I believe that that builds confidence and also it helps us to feel safe. I'm just looking to see my YouTube video. I'm going to share my rates here. All right, so there's that. If somebody gives you pushback on your rates, do not back down. Okay, don't back down. Unless you feel the Lord is telling you to adjust your rates down or to give them a discount or give it to them for free, don't give them a discount or lower your rates just because you feel intimidated or you feel afraid. That is demonic and that is not good business practice. And that's not someone that you want to work with as a client, because someone that you want as a client is going to respect your boundaries and you're going to respect theirs. All right. So that is my biggest tip to you is don't back down. And then lastly, last one, guys, we made it. Number 10. Last one is let the client tell you what they want to do. So there's a saying in sales, my sister says all the time, he who speaks first loses. So after you've stated your rate, shut up. Okay, so zip the lip. After you stated your rate, become a deaf mute. Not deaf, but become a mute. Let them, and I don't mean any disrespect by that, so please forgive me if that offends anyone. I apologize. So be quiet is basically what I'm saying. Is just be quiet and give the client an opportunity to process what you just shared. So they may have questions. So just be quiet for just a few minutes. Don't make it weird or awkward, but give them an opportunity to just think. But the way that you also want to position that last question is, so I'm going to use Nicole as an example. So Nicole, out of the 3 packages I've shared with you today are presented, which one works best for you? Which one do you think works best for you? So she has to pick, like she's got to pick 1, 2, or 3. So I'm not going to ask her a closed-ended question. So I'm not going to ask her a question that she can say yes or no to. I'm going to ask her, which of these 3 products would you like? And then she's either going to say A, B, or C, or she's going to say, well, I need to think about it. Well, can I just ask you, like, what questions do you have, or are there any concerns that you have that I can address? What is it in terms of thinking about it? What can I help? What other questions can I answer? So again, you want to be knowing, like, what can you do to help give them all the information they need? All right, so then in addition to that, and this is the last thing, is you want to make sure that you're building connections, you're establishing rapport, you don't go right to the pitch, and you want to discover who they are first. And know that in doing this, you will prosper. And so if you just apply these things, just one thing, well, if you were going to apply one thing, let me ask, I don't want to just say what you're going to do. If you were to apply one concept that I gave you tonight, what would it be? What concept would you apply tonight? And if you watch this in the replay, let me know. What concept would you apply? Do, 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 do. Okay, so I'm assuming that you guys are typing, or maybe you're back and watch this later. I'm going to speak live. But if you are here, if you're in the replay, let me know what concept would you apply. And while you guys are doing that, or while you're answering that, again, I want to share with you that my name is Dr. Patrice Carter, and I'm the CEO of Breakpoint Coaching Collective, LLC. And here at Breakpoint Coaching Collective, LLC, I'm a digital course creation mentor to women-owned coaching practices, C-suite executives, and service-based entrepreneurs who are ready to expand and package their expertise with online schools and digital courses. And I have a done with you service and a done for you service. And I invite you to reach out to me. I'm going to share my link here in the comments. And what you're going to see on my link is, once you click it, is you're going to notice that I have a private Facebook membership group for beginning course creators that I want to invite you to join. Also, my email list is there. So I invite you to join my email newsletter, where you will receive tools and resources. And I share free handouts all the time and things of that nature, videos, just giving information. In the membership group, I'm going to be doing personal and private webinars. And then also there's a link for you to schedule a discovery session with me. So it's okay if you may not be a coach, or perhaps you're not a service provider, but you are an entrepreneur and you want to ask me questions about anything. I have 30 plus years of experience as a professional. So my background is in the area of higher education. I have 14 plus years as an assistant professor in academia. I also am prior military. I have 30 plus years also in banking and healthcare management. So I'm able to speak to all those things. I have 14 plus years as an experienced entrepreneur. So I would love to talk with you about any questions that you may have, but specifically, I want to work with you if you are a female service-based provider or coach who is ready to package your courses, and you want someone to do it with you or do it for you. So you can reach out to me on my website. We can chat, and I'm going to share just my regular website. That's my landing page. This is my website where you can actually go and learn all about my products and services. It's drpatricecarter.com. All right, guys. So that is it for tonight. So tonight, because when you do a presentation, they say, tell them what you were going to tell them what you told them. So tonight, what we talked about, and I hope this was helpful to you, we talked about how to overcome the struggle to know how to price your course or your services, and what to do if you're struggling to state your price out loud, or your potential client gives you pushback at your rates. So again, I'd love to work with you. Let me create your course with you or for you. You can ask me how. And I invite you to connect with me on social media. I am on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube. So guys, God bless you. I wish you so much success. Please let me know what you're taking from this video, what you're going to implement. And if you have any other ideas for topics that you would like me to speak on or for us to talk about in our lives, I'm happy to do it. All right. And God bless you. And thank you for everyone that contributed tonight and that joined the conversation. And I'll see you soon.